How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful day out here. Gonna get out and go fly fishing a little bit with one of my buddies. But first I want to tie up a couple bass flies, and I'm going to show you guys one of them. And what this takes is a B10S 2-aught by Yamagatsu. That's what I like to use. Very strong hooks. Definitely not going to bend too much on you. Heavy duty wire. I like the horizontal line to it too. Then you can add these little fish heads, and they're nice to use. We'll get into that later. The thread you want to use for this is a GSP. I use the 200. It has a very strong. It's not going to snap when you're tying these bucktails. That's what I use a lot of. So we're going to use the orange, olive, and green for this. It's my favorite pattern I like to do. Blue Gill. That's what I use in almost everything. If you ever fish with me, you know that I'm addicted to Blue Gill swim jigs. So let's get started. What you want to do is just, make tight wraps all the way back. Get about that far, chop off what's there. One thing I like to do, well, if I can get the lid off, it's been on there for a little while. Guess not, I'll do this a different route. Super glue, Zappa Gap, whatever you want to use. And I'm out, so what I would do is just a very light coat of the UV resin. Just keeps that stuff there. The UV resin I really like is Gulf Classic. This is just the clear, and they have it in all sorts of colors too, from fluorescence all the way to like red, black if you want to do some ants. Then you just take UV light to it, cure it real fast. Just takes a few seconds. Back. I like to get a good base going. Some might say it's overkill, but I'm gonna get back to the back of the shank. And what we're gonna tie on back here, grizzly hackle. What I'm gonna do here is find about the right length of fly I want. Tie these in there. One on each side should do just fine. Don't do it too tight at first either, because then you can adjust. I want them to be the same length. And I like to take my beefy scissors to these guys. Don't use your good scissors that you normally use on your thread or hackle and stuff. You'll dull them real quick. Well, I'll add one more to that. Nice little chartreuse tail there. Gives some nice action. I think the reason why I like using bluegill so much is just because the fact of, well, one, you want to match the hatch. Yeah, you can throw odd colors like, there's June bug soft plastics and stuff like that they use bass fishing, and I mean, yeah, they'll catch fish, but it's not natural to our ecosystem here. There's nothing June bug color really. Just some days on the tough bite you want something different. And then now, wherever I settled right here, want a little bit of flash in there. So good, like 10 strands. And what I like to do A lot of guys do this. Just wrap it around the thread. Find that length. And spread them down each side. Little flash. I'm using purple because purple is that purple-descent to a bluegill. If you can match that, it's gonna look pretty darn good with your finished product, and you're gonna like it. Next, bucktail. Also, bucktail is very thick. Also use my big scissors for those. Since we're going on the back, I want a little bit shorter strands. One nice thing to do is pinch it off, leave yourself about an inch. Rub all these little fibers out. It makes it look much nicer at the end, and it's easier to tie. Especially with this thread, and like I've used flies like this for 50 fish before actually I start seeing some come off of them. Make a couple good reps. You can really singe down on this to flare it out like that. That's why you want that GSP for this bucktail. What I'll do is I usually just wiggle it a little bit. That way I can get it lined up so I don't have too much going down low. So you want it to be pretty accurate. At least I'm OCD when I do it. Next, we're going to do orange on the bottom. You can really pull on this thread too. It has a very strong break strength. Before I give it that good couple wraps, make sure I have that even. Now I'll chop all these guys off. And this is something I kind of learned from, if you guys are familiar with Blaine Chocolate, he's the one who created the T-bone for muskie and northern pike. So you get this little cone coming down here, get just in front of it, create a little bump. That way you're not going to have your buck hair shifting on you, and you can get it right here in this little gap. It's a good trick to use. And then keep on adding bucktail. And this pattern you can literally use wherever. I mean, there's bluegill in, I mean, almost every body of water, I'm sure. If not every body of water. Well, if there's any questions from anybody who's, wanting to get into tying, is tying already, whatever, you can always message me. I'm down to answer any of your questions. Or come visit me at the shop at the Complete Fisherman. I'll help you guys out. We also got a tying section there. You get a hold of me ahead of time and I'll bring my vise in or whatever, and I'll show you whatever you need to know. And then, this is where I'm going to throw a good clump of some crystal flash. And this is what I truly believe really does it for this bait, honestly. There's one little trick at the end that I have too, but this is just the kicker. What makes the bluegill the bluegill. Real good chunk of olive on there. Pull out all those loose hairs. I did get a little too close to the eye here. And then this one I kind of do like a little layer of orange underneath. Very minimal, just to blend that belly color. Small chunk of yellow again. Whip finish tool. Make sure you have one of those rotating ones. I mean, you don't have to, but it makes it a heck of a lot easier. Add some classic. Really want to get that cap off that super glue, because then I can put eyes on it. Well, I just broke it. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna be able to use it. Cool. Set that in real quick. Make sure it's all nice and dry. Yeah, it's nice and hard. Real quick, we'll take it off the vise and kind of show you the body. Make sure I pull all those extra fibers out. That way when it swims through the water, this is kind of what you're going to see. That chartreuse tip, especially with that feather when it's going to lay back, that chartreuse tip just barely hangs out. And the action to this, you kind of just, it's going to dart side to side. That way, when you dart it and it's going to just kind of sit there and sink, it looks like a wounded fish. And it's not, just swimming right along. Because it's like, and my favorite way that anybody has ever explained it is also by Blaine Chocolate. He says in one of his videos, he's like, it's like a lion hunting its prey. He's like, yeah, there's all those ones out there, blah, 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 but, it's easier just to go for the weakest link. You're going to get a meal out of a herd of 100 wildebeest or whatever it is. So that's kind of how these bass, pike, muskies, you know, your predator fish hunt. Take out the weakest link. You're gonna get your meal. Put a little super glue in there. Oh, pushed it too far. You know what? It's gonna work though. Might not look the prettiest head now, but it's gonna work. On these skulls, or well, I call them skulls, or crystal heads, they're relatively cheap, and well, I mean, $5 for probably a dozen of them, and I think it kind of, you know, adds the personality to it. These already have a sticky adhesive, but it kind of suck, so I always add super glue. Something I like to do with these. Super glue is not always enough to hold them in there, especially to a toothy critter. And this adds some nice shine to it. And finished product. Not too impressed with the head just because, well, I broke it, so. But that is your bluegill pattern. Probably about 4 inches, 4.5 inches in length. Nothing too big. You can easily throw this on a 6 weight, honestly. Heck, maybe even a 5. Just might want a little bit heavier line. But bluegill pattern. Oh, I forgot. I was gonna show you the trick I do on some of these guys. That just adds a little bit more character to it. Give it those lateral lines it has. And the lateral lines go through the tail as well. But, well, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I'm going to start doing this more. Maybe once or twice a week. Get back into it. Y'all have a good night.